Hey everybody, and welcome to another episode of Rukus Reviews.
I'm Shanna.
And I'm Josh, and we're Rukus Games. And today we're going to be reviewing Dice Forge.
Alright, so we'll do this a little differently. We're going to open it up and talk about the game while we pull out the pieces.
Alright.
Is that the rules? Is that all there is?
Yeah.
What do you have? Which one of these?
Cardboard film.
Alright. So this is just showing you how to put the game back in. It actually has a very nice insert.
Yeah, it's a very interesting little
aholics.
setup for how everything gets organized. And I think
here's the board.
Kind of just did some weird stuff. But yeah, so the sleeve shows you exactly where everything's supposed to go for these.
Look at these.
These are little faces for the dice.
You wouldn't believe it if you didn't see it. So what's really cool about this game is you get these dice and you get to upgrade them as you play. I think you get 2 dice, right? You get one.
Yes, you get one of each. There's 2 different sets. There's the lighter ones and then there's darker colored ones, which is probably hard to see on a video because they're very slightly
they look
different.
Almost the same to me, but technically this one's a darker color than that, and there's a very slight difference between them. When you start out, most of them are ones, and this represents money, right?
Yes.
And then you have a moon and victory point on this one as your extra different thing, and then here you have a fire. And I think that's it. You got 1 fire. And so they're just, everyone starts with the same 2 dice, but this one's just slightly different. And so they want to make you notice that. So they make this one a little darker.
Yeah.
But these, look at these little pieces. They go on your dice and it's pretty cool. They pop out pretty good, especially if you're like me and you don't bite your nails. Then you just pop them right off. Yeah. And then, you put on your new one as you upgrade. And it just pops right into place.
Another nice thing is that these are actually designed with little wedges on the corners, so even if you don't have nails, you can just kind of fit it in there and pop it right out.
You just use these to pop them out.
Just use your new piece to pop out your old piece.
Technically, that's actually easier. Probably a smarter way to do it.
And then you just set it in there, and now you have a new face on your die. So.
But check out this insert. So we have little plastic pieces. And I love this little sleeve cover, and it even shows you on the front of here what's inside here.
Right, so once you've removed a bunch of pieces from here, you know exactly how to reorganize everything.
Okay, so I'm just going to put these back in place.
Okay.
And
you want to talk about the board?
These are your little scorecards. Go ahead and talk about the board.
Okay. Yeah, and so the centerpiece of the game is this board, and this board is really cool. It's I really like the art style that they use here, and this is upside down. Boom. So there you go. And basically you have cards that go all the way around this. These are little card slots, and so the cards they fit in right here while it's sitting down on the table. And each of the cards has a, down in the bottom corner, you barely see it, but it has, so this one has a 2, and it's inside of like a fire shape. So right here.
This 2 here.
Yeah.
With the fire, which matches, where'd it go? I lost the dice. Yeah, it matches the fire on the dice.
Right. So you know that
the fire on your board, your little scorekeeper.
The card goes right in this spot. I don't know whether it goes this way. Goes right in this spot. And what's really cool is that the artwork on the cards actually lines up with the artwork that's on here as well. So this has some like little stones, almost like stepping stones. And you can see that there's little stepping stones at the bottom of this card too. And when you stick it in that slot, then it just continues the artwork directly onto the cards, which is really cool.
So then you have these little pieces that go with their corresponding color, depending on who all is playing, right? So if it were just me and you, we would be blue and orange because we love to play blue and orange. And, you would line up, you have a card stack I don't know how we have these organized right now, but we have a card stack, and we would place them along here where they belong. And you can move your little piece to where you want to buy something. And if you move your piece somewhere where someone else is, what was the negative to that?
Yeah, so what happens is whenever you move your piece where somebody else is, they go back into the center here. And because you bump them back into the center, there's a little icon here that says they get to roll both of their dice once they get bumped into the center, and then they get to take the reward. Basically, these dice give you rewards, and your player board is where you keep track of them.
Should mention this is an engine building game.
Yeah, so you have a money track, a fire track, an ice track, and a victory point track. So every time you roll your dice, almost pretty much every dice face, every face gives you some sort of a reward. So you roll your dice, and at the beginning, you're most likely to get money because almost all the spots on here are money. So you can increase your money here, and money. The main goal of money is to buy more faces for your dice. So you have 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, and 12. Once you start buying more dice, you can add fire and ice and victory points. Fire is used to buy the cards on this side of the track, and ice is used to buy the cards on this side of the track. So you're trying to build up your dice to basically just increase the chances that you're going to get what you want. So basically the way a turn goes is at first you're just rolling the dice and then you collect the resources, and you can either buy as many dice faces as you can afford, or you can buy a single card from this area over here.
And then the use of these cards, as you can see, you earn victory points by buying the card, but then you can see, so this has a 2 times. So what does that mean? I'm sorry, it's been a while.
So with this one specifically, you would get one of these tokens. It has an X2 on it. And then at any point after you've rolled your dice, you can turn in this card and say, I want double whatever my dice just gave me. So
right. So when you get that really good roll, you'll say 2 times, and you capitalize on that one really awesome roll. So that's
right.
very useful because you're getting to pick when you capitalize on that.
And there are a number of these that specifically activate whenever you do them. This one actually has everybody roll their dice and then lose whatever they rolled instead of gaining it. And that happens as soon as you get it. But then there's also some that have a little gear icon over here, and those give you something every turn. So before you take your actions every turn, you have an opportunity, if you have any of these cards in front of you, and they have a symbol on the back of them to tell you what they do as well, because you're actually supposed to flip the cards over every time, so people can't see how many victory points each one is going to be worth at the end of the game. But for this one, you can take 3 gold and turn them into 4 victory points.
That's very useful.
Yeah.
Because gold is great at the first of the game, but somewhere in the middle or near the end, you don't find it as useful. You get your dice up to like where you want it for the most part, and then at a certain point in the game, you switch focus and you're worried about getting more victory points. And so you're building your dice so that you can afford to buy the things that'll give you more victory points in the beginning, but then near the end, you're more concerned about just grabbing the victory points. If you just grabbed the victory points near the beginning, that might help a little bit, but it's not going to build the amount of victory points you want near the end of the game.
Right. I mean, I really enjoy the strategy of this. It's kind of a deck builder, because you're grabbing these cards, and there's a few of them available, and the more of these cards that you grab, they give you advantages. Like for instance, to trade 3 gold for 4 victory points. This one allows you to, after you've rolled both of your dice, when it's your turn, roll an additional one. And then, of course, it's a dice builder. It's absolutely and literally a dice builder because you are building
your dice how you want them,
and you're buying. You're using the stuff that you get from your dice rolls to buy more faces for your dice. And then a number of these give you victory points. Each one of these cards that you buy gives you victory points. Well, almost all of them. The first one in the fire and ice section don't actually give you victory points at the end of the game.
That's because you're using your coins to create the victory points.
Yes.
Here. Which, I mean, these are very useful. I find these to be more useful than a lot of other cards. And then we forgot to mention this card here. Right. It's not easy to get 5 fire and 5 moon sometimes. It takes a while to save it up. So then the big payload is that 16 victory point. So this is a good one to go after if you're in the right circumstance to go after it. Good strategy in the game. Try to go for one of those.
Right, and this one specifically actually is really cool because this one, there's also a timing aspect to getting this one. Because this one is worth 1 victory point for every upgraded die face that you have bought at that time, at the moment that you buy this. So then there's a bit of a balance there because, if one player could afford it, then they could potentially get all of these while you're waiting to get your own. Or, you could try to get it as quickly as you can so nobody else will get them. But the longer you wait, the more upgrades you're probably going to have done, and the more victory points this will wind up being worth at the end of the game. So,
I personally like games that have dice. I know that there's a luck element, and there are a lot of people that like just playing strategy games. But for me, it's just fun rolling the dice. I feel like it's very interactive. The fact that you have something to do on everybody's turn. I love the games where it doesn't take a long time to get around to you again, and you're not just sitting there waiting for your turn again, and what other people are doing is not really affecting you. And so there are some games where you just check out. You don't want to be, you're just like waiting for your turn to come again. And I love games like this where you have something to do on somebody else's turn, and you're not checking out, you're involved. And so it's a really good game to play with kids who might get distracted or bored easy, because they have something to do through the turns. So yes, I would definitely suggest this to play as a family, but I wouldn't say that it's only a kids game where like adults wouldn't find any entertainment in it if they weren't playing with their kids. It's definitely not that. I don't want to give that impression because it's actually a lot of fun.
Yeah, it is fun. The strategies that are involved in it, because there is a little bit of luck, and if you don't like any luck, then that can be an issue. But again, this is a game where you try to control your luck, and I enjoy games where you have that aspect where you get to control your luck.
It's about percentages, like, okay, if I add a lot of this, then if you're looking for fire, you add a lot of different fires, even if they're low numbers, and you're not even going for those yet. But when you add, you're increasing your percentage of getting something. And in a lot of games, that's pretty much all you're really doing. You're just trying to make decisions that'll increase your chances of something favorable happening to you.
Right. Yeah. As far as replayability goes to the game, there are additional cards that you can get. There's a lot of dice faces here for you to go through. There's a lot of ones that we
point out some of the
don't wind up getting to use a lot, and so that's so when you're playing again, you can try new strategies. There's a lot of different strategies that you can try as far as what kind of faces that you get. There's a number of faces down here at the bottom that do interesting things, like you have a ×3, which multiplies whatever you rolled on the other die ×3. You have these little boar faces, which are interesting. They coincide specifically with this card, and you basically you give your opponent this die face, and they have to put it on their dice, and then you get this card, and then every time they roll this face, they get a reward for it, but so do you, which is really cool.
It's interesting psychologically. You are not happy when you're helping your opponent. Like, your role is literally helping somebody else. It does not make you happy.
Yeah.
Or at least me. I'm not giving in that way.
Right. And so almost every one of these slots has a second card, it's a second set of cards that you could put in there. It's like this 6 could be this one instead. And they have different amount of victory points that they're worth, different action that you get for them. These are actually what we have here are the advanced ones. The advanced cards are the ones that give you some of these dice faces that you don't get. None of the cards in the basic ones give you additional dice faces. So basically, this bottom row down here doesn't actually get used when you're playing the basic game.
I would say however you play it, it's a fun game all around. Whether you're playing with this bottom section or not, it's a good game. And then there's some cards you can pick for these that are more cutthroat. I would say for the most part, the game isn't too cutthroat. Personally, me, I am not in love with games that like the whole way of winning is making somebody else lose. I mean, there's a few out there I kind of tolerate, but you can stack this game in such a way that you have some of the more cutthroat cards. So there is a little bit of that in there for people who like that.
Yeah.
But not all the cards are like that. A lot of the cards are ways of trying to benefit yourself. Like personally, I want to win because I was doing good decking my own dice, not because somebody else just
forced you to lose.
Yes, forced me.
Hurt you.
Yes,
yes.
I take it personally. I can't help it. I'm flawed in that way.
Yeah. I would say my biggest issue with the game, though, comes in replayability as well. It does have the extra cards. It would be nice to see more. I know that they had discussed. This was a game that was on Kickstarter. They had discussed that if it was successful, that they would consider expansions. There are not every slot on here has a second possible card. Some of these, I believe this first slot, that there's only this one for the first slot. There's not an additional card you can replace it with. And any of them that can be replaced, there's only one other option. So after a while and you start to really get your strategies down, it can be a bit repetitive. The luck aspect, of course, increases the replayability, but just as any deck builder, that there's a reason why Dominion has like 10 different expansions, and most deck builders have a ton of expansions, and it's because eventually you get used to all the cards and you want to try new things because there's a lot of variety that's there, but once the variety starts to feel less of a variety from one game to the next, then you want more, and I would love to have more different sets of cards for this.
I don't see how that couldn't be true of almost any game. That's not just like a pure strategy type game, and even then, like Santorini has extra cards for different ways of playing. But anyway, I personally, I don't feel as strongly about that as he does. I really enjoy this game, and I don't put that kind of weight on it. It's because it's 45-minute game. It's meant to be like this medium light. It's more light than it is medium. But I like these kinds of games because I know I'm not committing when I start to play. I know that I'm not sitting down for what could maybe be 3 hours, which is good sometimes. I like those games too, but it's a fun game to play for something short, like maybe you're about to have dinner and you have an extra 45 minutes to kill while your chicken is cooking in the oven. Or maybe you just want to do something, fun with your kids for a short amount of time that it could actually hold their attention. I feel like, for your older kids, that this would be a great game. I personally feel like for what it's offering and for who it's targeting, that it does have the right amount of playability. That's just me personally. Yeah,
and I agree that for a gateway audience, for sure, it's actually a really great game for introducing to the the dice builder, deck builder, all that kind of that concept. It's great introduction to that. I know a lot of gateway people and a lot of children like to play with the dice. There's the tactile aspect of playing with dice. You know, getting to roll them, getting to mess with them.
Yeah, the tactile.
And then the being able to build your dice. I mean, it's really, really fun. It's fun being able to pop these things off. So I will say,
it does. It feels cool.
it
just pops off.
This is one of our other little issues here. Yeah.
Make sure you know where that came. Don't let it fall on the floor and vacuum it up later.
I've played plenty of games where it just the pieces just go flying.
Where'd it go?
And you're like, where in the world did it just
it
go?
flew away.
Yeah. All right. Well, I hope you enjoyed our review and this look at this game. Feel free to comment below and let me know what you think. If you disagree with any of our opinions, or if you have any other opinions that you'd like to share, don't forget to like and subscribe. We'll see you next time.
Bye.